you promised me there's going to be financial improvement for the farmer that understands this.
Oh, look, this is
where the heck are we going?
Yeah, look, this is financial payoff big time, right? And this is where we get out of being a symptomology and trying to attack a symptom instead of actually seeing the symptom. I can fix that, or there's a reason for that, and I know why that reason is and how we can get on with it.
Okay.
So you save money. It's like, the cow's done this. Oh, yeah, that's just short on minerals here. It's like where your cows fall over with grass staggers or milk fever. Grass staggers, magnesium, milk fever is calcium. But what salt were they supposed to be in, and how are they supposed to be presented so the animal can actually do what it's supposed to do? And why don't we do it in the soil so it costs less and they can be really healthy to start with?
All right. I think we need to start at the beginning, because you've told me that these books that are up on screen now have been some of the most important and informative books to consider as references for what we're about to go through.
But totally. I mean, I was introduced to these probably about 15 years ago, and I started going through them, and it's like, you look at it, woo-woo shucks, the Zodiac and the salts of salvation, and you get the Vitruvian Man, and it's like,
how are you going to get that past the farmers today?
Yeah, I know. And the wonders of the human body, and there's another one there, says God, man, the Word made flesh, and going, these are all fanciful. They're actually science books.
Actually science books.
Yeah, but you got to know the language is slightly different to what we know now. And so it can be a little bit difficult. Well, once you get your head into the process, you actually see, it's a science book.
All right. Well, what's the reference there to Job? I mean, are we going to get something on this a little bit later in the podcast?
Yeah. Look, the original reason that I actually read Job, Mum had an old Bible from the Elstow church, and the church is gone now.
Yeah.
And she gave it to me. She said, because I come home and I was pretty down and out about a few things, and she said, "Here, read this, read Job." And Job was all about, he was sick and depressed and miserable and
which you were at the time, so your mum thought this will help. This is what you need.
Yeah,
a bit of Job.
Yeah, have another go. So anyway, I read it and I go, "Wow, Mum." I said, "That's a nutritional story." She said, "What do you mean?" He says, "It's all about beef and cattle and his finances." And goes, "No, it's all about he became healthy from using particular minerals and he lived to 140.
I think I'm starting to see the connection now.
Okay, so now it's there. Okay. And so all right, go back to my roots, get into the, the health side of things and yourself. But, the connotation of, we've been talking about these single cells. We've gone through the DNA of the single cell, and we've gone about their function and how they proliferate. Now we're going to see some of the function inside of them.
What was it you were saying before we started the podcast, that phrase in Te Reo? Could you repeat that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was Tawhio, and he was on the first banknotes. And it is ko te peke te moni. The money is just dust to me. And it's really quite interesting when you look at this. Dust thou art and dust thou shall return. It comes from the soil. It's whatever you build from that dust is the money, is the trade, is the process. I think it was quite a profound sort of statement, to tell you the truth.
So philosophically, the connection there is, if you get the dusts in play and they're correct and they're minerally balanced, they're helping the land, your money is going to prosper and grow.
Absolutely. Okay. You're going to be very productive. Absolutely.
Yeah. And old ashes to ashes, dust to dust, a phrase often used in burial services. Interesting.
Well, where did we come from and where are we going? It's only a big circle.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's start back at the cell, okay, because we've had episodes with the cells come up a couple of times, the cyanobacteria episode. Of course, that all relates back into what we were talking about in soil, water, and herbage tests, because if you're getting that right, then you're going to have amazing results in those
all
tests.
Changes. That's right.
But here we are back at the cell, and we've got up on the screen, every cell requires the full mineral conversation. I mean, what does that mean?
Well, look, if you look inside this cell, there's all these fancy big names, like thylakoid membrane, ribosomes, and nucleoid DNA.
Yeah.
And now we've been through the DNA. There's 64 minerals and subatomic particles that make a DNA strand. So all of these things have a function, right? So that what they haven't put on this one, and I did it on purpose, it's like there's no mention of the salt that is involved for the specific function of that cell to be carried out.
Right.
And there are, and it is well documented, the specific purpose of each mineral salt, the 12 salts inside the cell that do particular functions.
Well, I happen to have on the screen the 12 salts from your book.
Yeah.
I know you're going to go into them more later, but this kicks us off with anyone who wants to have a slightly deeper dive from your own book. I think this is page 70 something. We've had it up in a previous episode, right?
Yeah.
But we're going deeper on this today as this interrelates to the ancient cultures using it too within the seasonal astrological approach
it's a
to
funny
farming.
Even if I go away from the astrological part, it's really interesting when we get to that zodiac part. And as I've pointed out to you before, the name of the zodiac and then the salt and its function, you go, that's connected. And go, yeah, well, it doesn't matter if you're looking at the stars or actually looking at the salt. There's a connection to the way it was put together. There was a reason for it. Now, the thing about what's here is this is a symptomology chart, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to focus a bit more as we go on about functionality
And
of the salt.
cell health.
Yes. And so like
because this chart up here is symptomology within the human,
yes.
which applies to mammals, I guess, and animals, but really we're starting with cell health.
Yeah, and I want to be more about how do these salts come about, their functionality in an electrical environment in our soil, how they gets into plants, the effect it has on those plants, and then the animals that come with that, and then ultimately ourselves.
Yeah, I should be clear, I suppose. When I say cell health, I'm thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, cyanobacteria cells specifically, but all cells are affected by a balance of minerals, right?
It's the start of the food chain, so I've got you at the right place.
Okay.
Because it just goes right the way through.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's look at this. This is ancient cultures worked it into the seasons, like I mentioned. We can probably skip past this, but it does have that relationship. Right?
Yeah, it does. It's more based on the northern hemisphere, well, if you're working into the seasons, but it's very, very poignant as you go further through this process, and we'll get deeper into that as we go. But, like you can see that, I'll just give you an to start with. Natmer, okay, so that's sodium chloride. So this is nat is from natrum is Latin, and mercator is Latin as well. So that's sodium chloride, which is salt.
Let me just flick over to the next slide because, okay, whilst that one just graphically looks like it's focusing on the importance of the cell, if you put in there the human being, on this slide you can see the longer form words.
Okay, cool.
That might be a bit helpful for people who are following along.
Yeah, no, really cool. And so like this is so that's Aquarius, right?
Natmer
is
sodium chloride.
Yeah, now Aquarius, it's fluid, right?
Right.
And what salt does in the body is regulate the fluid balance in your blood.
Right, and Aquarius is the water carrier sign.
Okay. And then, just let's look at Libra. I reckon this is another perfect one.
Yeah,
Scales of justice, right?
Yep. Balance.
It's natrum phosphoricum or natphos, which is sodium phosphate. It's the pH balancer in the body.
Yeah.
And man, does it work real well. And, you get acid guts and all that sort of thing. You go and take some of these tissue salts, acid gut goes away. And so all of a sudden you're going, instead of, I hate my, all of a sudden I'm balanced again. It's telling you that this is not.
Okay. So it's like when in the understanding of these elements, which have been around since ancient times, and the way that they work, it's spoken and described in a language of symbolism.
Yes, but I'll go back a little bit. It's like Schussler was the one that was originating the, supposedly the process of the mineral salts, the 12 mineral salts. And he took some material off a German scientist before him. And they were saying this is the beginning. Now, as we go further forward.
As if they had discovered it.
Yes.
But Schussler didn't discover it.
Well, I don't believe so, because when you get hold of the books of George Washington Carey that wrote these late 1800s, early 1900s, that wrote the books that we've got up there.
Yeah.
He's got into an ancient library.
Oh. Interesting.
And there's so much stuff there that comes through.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's a science book.
Yeah.
It's not written in classical science terms in regards to, I go to university and they say this, this, and this. But if you read it carefully and understand a bit of Latin, and you can start breaking down, going, oh, they're talking about this over here. And that's connected to that over there. And then you start to see things around the farm and the results of what's going on. And certainly this here, to me, what a wake-up call for me. We had already discovered the electricity in the soil.
Yeah.
And there were certain questions that I'm going, I don't know how this works. Because the likes of sulfur, nitrogen, phosphorus, they're anions. You can't move an anion through an electrical current. But you can use calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, all of these. They are moved through electrolysis. And there's certain states of these minerals and how fast they go, and potassium's the top and it gets right down. Aluminium's one of them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting thing in just seawater.
Mm.
It drops out and then zinc takes its place.
Mm.
So we'll talk about that in another podcast. But so what we found, what I really finally clicked on was that the single cell organisms that we're so keen to see in the farm, those cyanobacteria, they can create these tissue salts from the basic raw materials. So they take the phosphorus and they'll connect it with the calcium. So we get calcium phosphate. So that's the structure, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look through it, then it takes potassium, makes potassium phosphate, which is the spark, Aries, the brain, okay, the higher mind. And you need lots of this for the brain to work. You know, if you're really feeling down and droopy, it's likely that your brain's starting to fizz out.
Yeah, I know that feeling, actually.
Yeah. Well, and also, quite often people get a bit of arrhythmia in their hearts and that, and they think, oh, shit, I've got to get a pacemaker. I said, before you even start that, go and get some Carly Foss. You just might be completely run down.
Mm.
And it's like putting a new distributor cap on the old car, and all of a sudden, the electricity's working again. Everything's functioning. I've seen so many people do that and actually go, wow. And so, and some of the things, it's been the actual natural system is being replaced by something else. So they've looked at the symptom instead of the cause. So I'm always looking at the cause. Take the symptom to lead you to the cause.
Let me dive into some of the things here on screen. We've got healthy soil equals conductive soil. You covered that off pretty good.
Yep.
We've also got dead soil equals mineral lockup.
That's right. Totally. So this is where the woo-woo part of science, all those people that play with bugs and fungi and all this sort of stuff, it's really important, especially if you want to make money out of this.
Yeah.
Because they work for nothing.
Yeah, you're only dealing with half of that, of the equation if you're not actually dealing with the bugs and the fungi, right?
Totally. Yeah. So you go out there and you put fertilizer on, you call it fertilizer, you put minerals on, which are in a soluble form, so that the plant can take the mineral up into the plant through a soluble form, not an electrical form.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it stops raining, that's not very good.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't go up.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah. And as I pointed out many a time, you look at a redwood tree, 300 feet high. Is there a gnome at the bottom of the tree pumping the water pump with the push the tree?
No. If I've learned anything, there's no gnomes.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Maybe some gnomes.
Yeah.
No offense to our gnome listeners. Please like and subscribe.
Well, it's, they've been eating plenty of those muscaria mushrooms.
Yes.
It runs with the rerun.
So very happy.
This does not, putting on nutrients like that, they need to be converted. And the biology are the best ones to convert it into the salt so you can take it into the cell. Yes.
And that's why we've got fertilizer does not equal mineral intelligence.
No, but the intelligence needs to come with how you look at the picture and go, that's short. If I add that, the biology will pick this up and convert this to this and convert that to that, and then things will function correctly.
Yeah.
So there's real systems in this whole scenario. Like we're really hot in silica.
Yeah.
And it brings structure. It also creates electricity. It's also called the surgeon's scalpel. And so within the cell, it's the cleaner. So they will never have smooth silica. Like they're always got a pointy edge on the process.
Okay.
So it goes around the blood or around the cell and it cuts. It's like little wee tiny cuts, cleans everything up. Right. And then calcium sulfate, which is gibboard, plasterboard. It comes around and picks it up and takes it to the liver. Okay. Now, as part of that, on a bigger picture, if you look at our stomach lining, if you have problems with your gut and everything, well, you probably haven't got enough calcium sulfate because that's what lines the gut, just like in your house. And it creates a semi-permeable membrane that the food goes in one way and out, So we have these systems in us that are replicated in these buildings and houses,
Yeah.
okay. So we look at this process. Oh, we need lots of phosphorus. Well, how does the phosphorus make the cell wall? Yes, we need the phosphorus for all these different phosphorus salts.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 5 of them, and they all have a function, and we'll go through them again at the end.
Is this what mineral organization is?
Absolutely.
Okay. What role do microbes play in mineral organization?
Well, that's the critical point, Stephen, is that the microbes, if you've got functioning microbes, specifically cyanobacteria to start with, and then the following digestion process in the soil, the worms and everything else, you get mineral organization. So they take the raw minerals, take them and convert them, and then lay them down inside the humus, ready to be uptaken by the plants. And it's a really well, it's not a simple thing. It's an intelligence. Look at this. How many phone lines or internet connections have you got? And all these things go.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's like, yes, no, I don't want this. Yes, I need that. This is not a.
Yeah, it's kind of the soil internet, isn't it?
It is.
Of communication.
Totally.
The question I had also was, what happens when soil loses biology but keeps fertilizer? Is that back to what we're seeing there on the screen where it locks up?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, is like, if you don't, this is what we go and look at the soil test video. If you go back to that and you see all this minerals in the total mineral test.
Yeah.
And yet you go in to look in the available test, and there's less than half of them. Like there's negligible about what's in the available form. Well, neglect these guys and you're in trouble.
Absolutely. If you forget them, you're in trouble. Let's look at the next screen. Oh, yeah. Plants conduct and store minerals. Now, I kind of had this backwards earlier. I was like, no, they store minerals and conduct them or something. So just lay it out for me, the order of things here.
I'll go back to and what I've done in the book in regards to a poplar tree. Okay. We've got 2 different types of poplars about 200 metres from the house, one on the neighbour's place, one on ours. And it's about 10 days before the leaves or the first bud you see on the tree, you'll see the electrical charge start going from the ground up into the tree.
Wow.
It's like you can go out there and you can put the probe in the ground. And so when the tree turns on and says it's spring, then the electrical current moves. Okay. And so then what's that's doing, it's bringing moisture and nutrition, and it's on an equal and opposite reaction, because up in the tree takes in carbon dioxide to photosynthesize, and it creates a negative charge in the plant. And you have a positive electrical charge picking up these cell salts and taking it into the tree.
Okay.
And so the signaling up and down the tree, if everything's in the right order, is saying, yo, bro, send me some Carlifos. Give me a bit of Magphos. I'm feeling a bit stressed here these days. Like it's the signal's going up and down this process all the time. And if you don't think so, you're an it's really easy to find out. Take a voltmeter, dunk in the ground. And the opposite happens too.
Okay, so in summary, what you're saying is gnomes are doing it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was listening, folks. I was. But that's cool because you just answered my next question, which is how they move minerals internally. Which is cool.
It's an electrical process. And this is not hard to see. Like a cheap voltmeter set to DC current to 3 decimal points, and you can start mucking around with it. Now, this other set of poplars we've got, they don't go for about 3 or 4 weeks after.
Really?
Yeah, and you'll go over there and this.
Oh, okay. So what's electrically different for them to be tuned into 4 weeks later?
Well, their species or whatever it is. I don't actually know what the switcher is, but but they don't turn on for 3 weeks later. Like you'll be going out there, and this tree will be actually starting to get decent buds and leaf and everything like that.
I suppose it reaches the appropriate threshold when the electrical environment's better for that model of plant.
Absolutely.
That species.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, in the autumn, it doesn't switch off for another month when the other one's shut down.
Huh.
So that's crazy, eh? It's like, but this is the ebbs and flows of nature. And you can check this out on any of the deciduous trees. The first ones that actually bud up, the wild cherries. Get out there and, there's power going up there.
No, I did have another question for you on this. Can a plant look healthy but be functionally deficient?
Yeah, they can look like you can make a plant look reasonably healthy. But
Because this is where people go, my farm is fine. Look at it. I don't need this stuff. Looks healthy.
Yes, but if you're getting symptoms of something going wrong, so if you get grass grub, weevil,
aphids,
all of those things. If you've got something coming in and attacking it, okay, it might look good, but there's symptomology is telling you that it's not complete.
Yeah. Okay, well that kind of leads us nicely into this one, right? Because the food chain is a mineral chain.
Absolutely.
And I suppose it's obvious. I mean, we all know that, the human eats the animal eats the plant's getting it from the soil. But give me some inside baseball on a few things here.
Look, we are what we eat, okay? We know that.
Yeah.
If you go to the ocean where we've done a pretty messy job out there, but it's a more obvious sign of health. Like you hardly ever see a fish with cancer.
Such a thing doesn't really exist, does it?
Oh, okay, right. So when you're going fishing, there's been a little bit of this snapper wasting disease of late, but like basically when you harvest fish from the ocean, they're healthy, right?
Mm.
So they're living inside an environment where all the cells and nutrition is functioning correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the result of it.
Mm.
I keep talking about when you go to the poles in the springtime, we have this ice wall in it, the ice shelf, and it dissolves down, comes into the water, and as it defrosts, the cyanobacteria go absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
And there's this massive explosion of food and health. What's unhealthy of that food chain when you look at it? You're like, it turns to the krill come along and eat the cyanobacteria, the herrings eat the krill, the sea lions eat and the whole thing. And these animals are living in an environment of bloody freezing and they're thriving. There's no ill health. They didn't have to, stop, we have to give you a drench. You've got lungworm or ringworm or something. It doesn't happen, does it?
If you have to give a drench or these additional supplements that you're kind of implying you don't need so much, then where's the chain breaking?
Well, the mineral imbalances cause these issues inside the animals. And this is where the works of Carey, Schussler, when you look at these books and you start to go down through the symptomology, they're telling you the issue about the cell and what's deficient in the cell. So it's showing you when it's deficient, it will do these things, or you will have those symptomology. This was natural medicine.
Yeah.
This is what they did all the time. This is all done around the 1900. It wasn't a case of, you've got that symptom, let's have another drug. It was like, there's a mineral deficiency here, you need to fix this. So I wanted to take this away a bit more because if you dig in deep enough, you can actually see the functionality of each of the salts and start building the process around having them there all the time. And if they're not there, then being able to remedy that situation so that they can actually rectify it. You don't want sick animals at all.
No, of course. So give me an example of how modern farming's interrupting this flow.
Well, they kill the biology.
Yeah.
And so that's it.
They kill the biology. It's sort of a big statement. What's one thing that you see happen that's they do the thing with the such and such?
Well, look, you put superphosphate on, right?
Okay.
And when we used to get superphosphate, this is the conundrum that we've been in. We used to get superphosphate from Nauru, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was a sea-based mineral, right?
Yeah.
And it had been through the ocean, through into the fish. The birds had eaten the fish. They shit it on the ground. We put it on land.
So it absolutely had a life cycle through life.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when you talk to the old farmers, they put on 100 weight, 200 weight, to the hectare. It was bugger all.
Yeah.
And old beekeepers and people like that. And it was healthy as all hell. I started farming right at the end of that, in my own right at the end of that 85, 86, it was gone.
Oh, just when they stopped bringing it in from Nauru.
Yeah. So they just about dug Nauru up and Christmas Island out in the Pacific.
Yeah.
So they were gone. And so they brought us this product that came in from Russia and then they ended up in Africa and the old answer was just put more on. But the answer wasn't the more on, was that we weren't getting the salts and the mineralogy that was coming from that original form out of Nauru Island.
Mm.
So when they did that, then they put more acidity into it. And in our soils, what that caused it to do was the aluminium rose.
Mm-hmm.
When the aluminium rises, that kills the biology.
Mm.
So that's bang, one thing, major problem straight away.
What's one of the first symptoms that shows up?
Well, that soil just starts to get compacted.
Right.
And it's like, there's these things, and then there's less biology in the soil. So then there's more issues coming, and you go, oh, I don't grow enough grass. So then you put some nitrogen on, and then you got these weeds. You start using more sprays, and then you kill more of them. So we're on a downward spiral, and every time, instead of us looking at the cause, we've actually gone to the symptom and what is the product that we could use to cover up the symptom. So everything's, there was never any research based on finding the true cause. The symptom showed us this. Why is that?
So we're getting into sort of symptom. So it's a game of whack-a-mole, right?
Yeah.
Symptom here, give it that.
But every time
we've got a side effect of the side effect situation going on.
Absolutely.
Kind of like when someone's on multiple pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah, and if you want to play whack-a-mole, it's $5 a hit.
Yeah, it's not cheap, is it?
No, it's just look, and I get
Boom,
no
boom,
money.
boom, boom. Yeah.
It's like playing pokies.
Yeah. Okay, so it's time to look at the seawater. Like I said at the beginning, are you crazy? Blood and seawater is the same type of chemistry, really?
Really. There was a really cool scientist in the early 1900s, a guy called Rene Quinton, and he actually would go out to the ocean and to the really, really deep water and go down 40 fathoms or something and collect the seawater.
So it's super pure.
Yeah, and I think it's twice the concentration of minerals in our human blood. So he diluted it down, and he was actually taking all the blood out of dogs and replacing it with seawater. And they were healthier.
Sounds a bit fishy to me.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I'm sorry. So they actually got healthier and they had seawater running through their veins.
Yes. Well,
I wonder how long it took for it to turn red again.
Well, I don't know. But, what happens when you go to hospital after you've been bleeding?
Actually, I do know the answer potentially to this, but I don't know if it's after you've been bleeding necessarily, but most of the time they'll, by default, give you a saline bag.
Oh, ding, blah.
Yeah, hydration, all sorts of things.
Right. So wouldn't it be great if they actually went out and got the saline clean seawater and forgot all the cleaning and purifying and all the other stuff and actually just took that to the hospital and you go.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting how, and I suppose if you're a doctor, you could comment on this, how the saline is so beneficial that you'll see all these benefits of relaxation and the system calming and the heart reducing, the heart rate will reduce, if I've got that right. So that must entirely disprove the idea that salt causes hypertension or high blood pressure.
There's no sense to it at all.
Yeah.
And as I said before, it's like Aquarius. Sodium chloride. Oh, it's the fluidic exchange in your body. That saline drip has been worked out to perfection to how much salt is in there and how much water is in there.
Yeah.
And the Grassmere Saltworks produces some of that salt, which we get a lot of the products from.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's
that's one of your best locations for it, is it?
Yeah, well, it's one of the cleanest sources of seawater because it comes up from the Southern Ocean. Where they capture it,
We skipped over this earlier, but why have cultures always returned to the ocean or to the sea for healing? And why are so many huge cultures on things like the Nile and the riverbanks?
Nutrition. There's it's not accidental. We think we're so smart these days. Look, we're going to genetically modify this and we're going to do this and that and the other thing again. If you can come up with a genetic modification that can grow cabbages as big as they could when they first got to Gisborne, you go to it. But it means they'll have to be able to grow cabbages around 25 kilos. I've seen pictures of this in the 1900s of cabbages the size of a dinner table.
My goodness.
And so
that's massive.
Oh, it is. But if you just bother to look in this bloody world, and you go if you go out around Gisborne and you look at the scallop shell, fossilized scallop shells in the rocks, they're like this. It's like they're Fred Flintstone jobbies, the old clamshell.
Yeah,
they're not like this. They're like that.
Yeah,
and so people have not got into their head. They've got, this is okay. And I'm going, Well, is that okay? I'd rather have this. I only need one scallop.
Hmm.
That would be dinner. It would be actually the family might be able to help out too. But we have limited ourselves when things were so much better, and we need to look at where it was so abundant.
Well, if the sea was the original medicine, then I suppose this makes sense a bit when we look at, now we're looking back at the Bible and some of what the ancients used to do. What is it? It's in Genesis where Job is told to go and look at those things, as you mentioned earlier. But this is about resolving the issue of depletion, isn't it? This isn't about finding, you've got a symptom, here's a cure for it. It's about not getting the symptoms to kick off with.
Yeah, it was rebuilding. He used sea ointments, and there's wording in there in this old Bible, and reference to Leo the lion, and like this, which is all part of this whole process. And going, man, this has been around forever.
Mm.
And our understanding of it has been left drift. And where we should be using this sort of information, if it's available and it's really worthwhile. Right, so these are the functional forms. So like this is when we go to the next picture there.
Yeah. Well, I'm keen to understand, if ancient cultures have been using this for so long, why is there 12, not 10 or 20? And what is meant by functional exactly? I mean, when you talk about functional minerals, why are some in that category and other minerals that exist outside of this aren't?
They have a specific job or specific jobs or functions inside the cellular structure, and there is 12 of them. Mm-hmm. And obviously this goes back a lot further, and there's a lot to be understood from this process, and there's a lot of conjecture and thought and argumentative process of how we've been brought up to think that we should live and whatever. But it's interesting, the Vitruvian man, he certainly turns up inside of these things quite regularly, and they're going, you look after these, and Mr. Vitruvian man gets looked after in the middle.
Yeah, the whole being.
The whole being. So
our little picture of the Vitruvian man there is rooted into the ground and carefully used an EFA logo because it's a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah. So if we look at this, let's start going around. Ferrum phosphate carries the oxygen in the blood.
Yeah.
Okay. NATMER regulates the fluidity of the blood,
aka sodium chloride.
Yep. So calcium phosphate, it's quick and easy. That's the structure in the bones.
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius is the silica, which is, it's the cleaner and it's the structural part of it, and the electrical devices.
Yeah. Can I just add, there would be Sagittarius is going, oh, great. Yeah, that's what I need. Maybe. But any person of any star sign, that's sort of an irrelevance, right? Like any human can have the kinds of tissue salt imbalances that you'll need to resolve and the symptoms that come along with it.
There seems to be a major tendency.
Does there?
That if you drop into that, when you're born into the that particular star sign, you'll have a deficiency.
All right, I'm off to go get some then.
Because
I'm a Sagittarius.
Yeah, well, you and I both. I mean, isn't it crazy? I mean, it's the one that I'm born into, and my whole life's built around silica. Yeah. So he goes around. So he's the higher mind. He thinks sharply, and it's all like computers.
Mm.
We have silicon chips in our computer. Store memory. Start thinking. Like it stores stuff. It's all part.
Yeah.
Your biology's a computer. Scorpio, calcium sulfate. It scoots around the body, cleans you up. It's the part that stops you from being poisoned.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have the tail of the scorpion that's going to poison you, but if you don't have enough. So if you have calcium sulfate in the gut lining and right through, the poisons don't go through.
Wow.
They cause a semi-permeable membrane that the food goes. Now, so if you've got leaky gut syndrome and all that sort of stuff, first thing you should do, just can't try that out.
Mm.
Okay. Libra, NatPhos, balancer, same thing. Acid guts, out of balance, disproportionate behavior.
Mm.
So we don't want to go there. Kali sulfurs, Kali's. Potassium sulfate. It creates oil, fluid movement, ease, slipperiness, great skin, everything, porosity. Leo, magphos. Well, it's calmness. And it's also the part, it lets the muscle go. It pushes the muscle out.
Mm.
Like you have a contraction.
Mm.
This is the let go. Okay. And so you can let go of things.
commonly recommended by medical professionals for muscle imbalance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it also allows you to let go of your shit.
Oh.
Stop trying to hold on to things so tight,
Yeah.
Yeah. Cancer, calcium fluoride. Well, this one's a really interesting one. This is quite a funny one. It's the only fluoride that you should have in the body. It's found in the spleen, and it's the starting point of new corpuscles. Like, so when you build a new cell, when we talk about those single cells, that's the sparking little part that gets it going.
If you're anti-fluoride, this is a fluoride you need to be open-minded to.
Hell yes.
Because it's natural.
You do need it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the sodium fluoride they typically put in toothpaste.
No, not at all. It's really quite different. It's the only fluoride you need and you should have in your body. And so, like, as I've said, it's like, well, if you want to put fluoride in the water, use calcium fluoride. You know, just go back to the counselor and say, well, if you want to do that, let's use calcium fluoride. There's a little bit of an inverse reaction here on this, though, because calcium fluoride is elasticity. It allows things to go like a big rubber band.
Oh, that's why you mentioned eyesight.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And it's also, it's all involved in optics as well.
Right.
It's in your eyes. And so the eyesight, you know, how you got to go inside and then you go outside and you can't get your focus.
That adjustment.
Yeah, it's the adjustment. You know, if you've got no calcium fluoride or very lacking, you can't adjust because the focus won't come back and forth, won't do its job.
Interesting.
Okay. And so I notice it if I'm running short, I get really tight hamstrings. I mean, it's just like, and I just go, oh, I must be on a rebuild or something like that because as I say, you need it when you start to reproduce more cells.
That's funny that you say that. I must be on a rebuild because you have an understanding of the cycle of life within your own system. That's cool.
So, and the other really weird thing that they've actually really, really known is that people that have lots and lots of money and don't have any calcium fluoride, they always want more.
Oh.
Always want more. They have to have more.
Right.
They're always needing more, you know?
Yeah.
But if they get the calcium fluoride sorted out, they just relax. It's a cool thing. So then we go to Kali Mur. Well, this is potassium chloride. This is the fibrin. Now it's really, really interesting. This is making cells and binding fiber and that together.
Yeah.
So if you look at the calcium fluoride and the Kali Mur right next to each other, have a think about spiders' webs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like fibers, fibrin.
Yeah, and the calcium fluoride is the elasticity. And so like it allows it to go, you just think about per strand, how strong that stuff is. And then you just think how stretchy it is. Well, that's those two salts there, tandem. And now I see this a lot in dairy intolerance.
Okay.
Okay, if you're short of Kali Mur, you can't bind the fibrin. So then you get a response to dairy. You get all phlegmy and all this straight away.
Oh, that's interesting. A lot of people would find that potentially a really helpful thing, you know, because plenty of people who have a dairy intolerance really enjoy it.
Yeah, well,
then it just hits them the next day real bad.
Yes, and I used to get it really. I still seem to have quite a requirement for Kali Mur myself, but I sort of gave up drinking milk in my tea to get over this.
Right.
And then when I found out that I could take Kali Mur and the milk and the tea didn't matter, well, I didn't go back to drinking milk and the tea, so I have honey, lemon and honey now. But it's a real reaction. And so, like, if you're drinking milk and that sort of stuff, it's really, really noticeable.
I know I'm jumping the gun. We've got a couple more salts to just quickly cover off that completes the circle there. But where do you tend to get your salts from for human consumption?
Just the tissue salts from the health shop.
Those would be the Schussler's ones.
Yeah, and we have a mineral salts that we sell ourselves, which is the concentrated seawater. And
the ocean elements.
The ocean elements, yeah.
Yeah, cool. But versus the tissue salts, which would be like the Schussler's tissue salts, those are homeopathic, right?
Yeah, they are. And we've got both of them. Like I'm sitting there and if I'm feeling a bit down, I'll take some of the minerals on the total. And then if something turns up that's a real symptomology, I go, I need a bit of this, until, we're away.
Okay.
And so Kali Phos is another one it's one that I see the most, that's really short, deficient.
Right.
People lose their heads because they can't think.
Oh.
Like there's no spark in the brain. This Kali Phos is an electrical impulse. It's like having in your car, it's sending the signal out to tell things to heart function. It does run the speed of the heart. That's where you see, when we talked just before about someone who had a pacemaker, I said, well, go there first. If that doesn't work, go down the road. It's quick and easy to try this stuff out. You can test it out yourself. Low cost, $15 to $20 a bottle.
Yeah, that is pretty affordable.
So, and then to go with that, see, this is really interesting. Carlifos is the spark. Ferrumphos is the oxygen. It carries the oxygen. If you're going to have a spark, you need oxygen to fire things. You need kaboom. And see, some of these are going well together, like kali myrrh and calcium fluoride. Fibrin, elasticity. Ferrumphos, Carlifos, the spark and the oxygen. They're going together. And so then we go around to the fluid control again and the building blocks. So there's no accidents. I'm not making this up or anything. This is old science that these people knew about.
Yeah, and I think I'll just reiterate, just for our own my peace of mind, make sure that videos have a nice long life on YouTube, is we're not giving medical advice. No. Do the research for yourself. Yeah. Decide for yourself if you think you have an imbalance and check out the symptoms and do a bit of exploration, but no medical claims being made here.
No, just go back and look at those books.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're a great reference. I'm not trying to be a doctor, but I'm just helping people along the way that you can actually do a lot of stuff yourself.
Yeah.
In a world we haven't got enough doctors, we can actually help.
I think if you're listening to this and some of this rings true for you, you'll have your own intuitive sense of whether it's worth looking into or not.
Absolutely.
So this all applies to the cell, right? Because we've just a moment ago been taking a look at the human and how those things have a kind of a symptom that presents and how it's useful. Just as sort of, and those salts don't just deal with that tiny spectrum of symptoms you mentioned. They're broader than that. And you only gave one example in an area where there might have been a dozen.
Oh, and the multiplicity that it runs between each cell and what they do and the functionality. And yes, each single
combinations of things that are required to put together as some sort of equation for a result. But sorry, back to what you were saying. When we look at the cyanobacteria cell, it too has to have a balanced, as this said earlier, a balanced conversation of minerals.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it does that. I mean, one of the big things that we see where is a real eye-opener is that you go to a lot of soils and they're really low in magnesium. But you take the totals, and they've got tons and tons and tons of it. And
that's such a mind fluff, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be low in something and have so much of it.
Yeah. And what I see with that part is that if you get the cell, which is photosynthesizing, it requires magnesium. These guys can get it out of there and turn it into a form that you need in their photosynthesis process. And you'll go back in the soil test and the magnesium's come up by itself. Okay, yeah, it was there. You just need to use the process of putting it in order to let it to happen.
Just to reiterate something for me, functional forms versus raw minerals. Can you just give me one more time a sort of a definition between the two?
Okay,
distinction, I should say.
Well, if you put...
do you want to go back one?
No, just like if you put, say, phosphorus on your land, what form are you putting it on? How are you doing it?
Okay.
And then the biology has to convert it into the different phosphoruses so that they're in a functional form so they can actually do their job.
So this is like that example you gave once in a prior episode about N14 versus N15?
Yes.
Is it?
That's right. It's got to be the right starting form. You have to have something that the biology can go, oh, I'll take that, thanks very much. Now, if we go into the farms and we throw on superphosphate and we bring up aluminium, well, then the cell can't work. So there's no way we can actually use a functional form, get that function. Now, if you use soft rock phosphate or a marine-based phosphate, it'll have some of the different salts in it, but it also allows it for the biology to convert it to what it needs to do because there's no toxicity when it goes on. So this is the part where you're looking at these soil samples and you're going, what are the limiting factors? And so that's why I always go down the chain. Is there toxicity? Yep. Okay, so we haven't got photosynthesis. We've got to get rid of this. We've got to deal with that. And then these cofactors are the part that come into it. So they're all really important so that this can actually do its job. If you look at this is the symptomology that they've said about what happens when you're, and it, you can go through it. Carly Foss, emotional symptoms. Oh, Stephen, I've had such a bad day. Oh, dear. He was like, yeah, take some Carly Foss, will you?
Yeah. Next time you do that, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. And it's like, and so Carly, like, oh, you got the boogies again. Why don't you take some Carly Mare and get rid of that bloody runny nose? Or you got dry skin on your legs and terrible. You need a bit of oil, so you're showing all of these things are telling us something so that you can actually go, oh, I'm actually short of this. I'm deficient of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would rather fix the soil. But these things are cool to help you get the best out of your life while you're in transition. And we're going to this great process.
Well, we've got to wrestle this back to the farm in case someone who thought they were listening to a farming podcast goes, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
But there is a relationship, so let's bring it back to how this expresses itself out on the farm.
Absolutely.
And finally, if you thought this was woo-woo, here's the science that says, well, actually, this is how it expresses.
Absolutely. So, yeah, this is the end result. We got the water test, we got the available nutrient, and we've got the herbage test, which is expressing what's happening. So we've got clean water, awesomely clean water, because of this part's working well.
Yeah.
Our soil test is showing, oh, yep, it's going pretty good. We could do with a bit more of this, or we could up the bit of this, and that really is. And then we see this part here, and some of the minerals over here will actually tell us, oh, it still needs a touch of this and a touch of that to actually bring it into the right format to let those cyanobacteria to do all these things.
Yeah.
And so it's not all the salt. Like when we look at some of the trace elements, the cobalt, molybdenum, selenium, these are what they call cofactors, which actually helps kick all these things along that go with this tissue salt.
Okay.
But it's just part of it. But the tissue salts are really expressed in this part of the soil test here, like in the calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, phosphorus, all of that, soluble sulfur, they're all there. And you can see it when it starts.
In that soil test.
Yeah.
It's been fascinating looking at these tests from the prior episode that we just put out, which went through this process on the farm. But what the hell's turbidity? I keep looking at that word and
murky water.
I thought, okay.
Yeah.
And they measure that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they just run a light through it and then they can measure how much light goes through and how much is disturbed by particles in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yours was very clear running off the farm in that little stream. All right, let's go to the next one. This is where it gets interesting because if you're not even doing tests, you can see the lack of minerals right there in the farm animals, right?
Yeah, you can. And one of the biggest ones that I actually see is silica because there's no frame structure with it.
Yeah.
So you need the calcium phosphate for the bones, but if there's inadequate silica, there's no structure. So what we see is a narrowing of the hips and a lengthening of the head and a narrowing in here.
Yeah.
And so you can see that quite quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
So another one is, we need ferrum phosphate to carry the oxygen. So ferrum phosphate, it's the oxygen carrier. And yet it's actually quite funny because it's like as you get the oxygen up, the head rises in the animals when they're looking after itself. And if you watch a herd of cows that's had too much nitrates and the oxygen's dropped, you watch their heads go down.
Ah, okay.
You see them walking down the track to the paddock and they've got the heads and instead of being up and vibrant. So then you've got other parts where they get really snotty in the nose or coughing and things like that. These are all parts of the process that you can actually isolate. Oh, it's not enough of this or not enough of that. And we can deal with that. But the big thing with all of this, what I'm trying to point out with these cell salts, yes, we need the cell salts. It's not a case of actually throwing more and more cell salts on. It's actually creating the environment for them to actually be created in the cell at the biological level in the soil, so then they can come right through the whole food chain.
Expressing out of the natural resources that exist.
Absolutely.
Already there.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and that's what we need to see.
I had a couple of questions for this one. Which salts mirror common soil problems?
Well, it's an interesting one. Like, if you haven't got a biological system going, so like you put lime on and you want to make crumb structure in the soil. So it becomes in the soil, it creates aggregate and they have this lovely crumb structure. So you need calcium sulfate. It's the particle board that holds it all together. The biology has to do that. So if you don't have the biological work process in the soil, they can't build the crumb structure.
Okay, so that's calcium sulfate.
Yes.
And where is that typically coming from?
Well, you can buy
normally?
gypsum, which is calcium sulfate, but the reality is, they use it for different things. But the sulfur comes from the atmosphere. There's heaps of it.
Is there such a thing as a sulfur or phosphate imbalance?
Yeah, well, there's a real imbalance caused if we keep chasing one particular mineral instead of actually looking at what's required for the system that can run its own game. And that's when you cause these imbalances. And like I keep going on about superphosphate bringing the acid and then aluminium. It's an imbalance. Or if you keep throwing on lots and lots of potassium in the soil, it creates a major imbalance. So it binds with different minerals. Like potassium is a bit of a loose unit. It'll grab on with nitrate, and go potassium nitrate.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's gunpowder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good for cattle. It's not good at all.
You don't want exploding cows.
No, and then that distorts the magnesium part of the uptake in the animal, and then they'll get grass staggers and they'll fall over and die.
Okay.
So that each one of these things all has their parts to play, and if you keep pushing an imbalance one way, it will express. And that's why I always say accuracy is a critical factor when we're starting to get into this process.
You mentioned sulfur coming from the atmosphere. What's this main source?
I started the car before.
What do you mean?
Well, it comes out of the exhaust, doesn't it?
Sulfur.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say volcanoes or something from
That too.
Just thousands of years.
Rotorua.
Yeah.
There's lots of it in the atmosphere. Like if you go to Rotorua, what does it smell of? Sulfur.
For sure. I guess my ignorance is you don't really realize when you're breathing, and that's your sort of concept of atmosphere, that there's all these different compounds in there.
Well, what we breathe is about 80% nitrogen.
Yeah.
So, but oxygen is the one that keeps us alive. So, I think there's all these different things that are floating about, and they're capable of, I'll grab that.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. All right, let's look at human health. It's the end of the chain. We've discussed some of the cell salt imbalances, but can you speak to modern illnesses clustering around stress and inflammation?
Oh, look, there's so many, because if, say, there's no Kali Phos, there's no spark, so you can't think. If there's no ferrin phos, there's no oxygen in the brain, so you can't actually get this process to work. And you sort of like you get depressed because your oxygen levels are falling and you get depressed. It's actually an exact, like depression of oxygen makes you, I don't like this life.
Yeah.
And we see this, and then we have inflammation and we have different processes happening where there's toxicity build up because the likes of Nat Sulf hasn't been able to pick up the rubbish and take it out of the body through the liver, or take away excess water that's coming through the lungs in humid conditions, and this is one of the things that, it's directly related with malaria. Like when you take in more moisture through the lungs, it builds up in the body and it creates this process that malaria comes along. So these are things that are actually...
Wow.
These are showing...
I wasn't aware of that connection.
Yeah. So, quinine was one of the great ways of actually getting rid of this process. And so you see a lot of people carrying a lot of fluid in the body, like around your legs and all that. And a lot of the time it's just Nat Sulf. They haven't got enough, which actually takes the water out through the liver and departicalizes it. And so all of a sudden the body starts to let that go. So there's water inside the veins, which is controlled by the Nat Mer, and outside build-up in the body is controlled by Nat Sulf.
That's amazing. Actually, quinine's a funny one because we still have it in Indian tonic water as that historical ingredient that they just came to like the flavor of.
Yeah, but the other part is too, people got to finding things out that worked, and then when they worked, they just carried on using them. But there is some substance behind a lot of this stuff as you go further down the track. It's a bit like Captain Cook when they were eating cabbages and limes and things like that. They finally found it was vitamin C, for scurvy. And I think it took them 200 years to work out that it was a good idea to take sauerkraut on the journeys because your sailors didn't get sick with scurvy.
Yeah, and it could ferment and it would be safe to have an unrefrigerated long period of time. Yeah,
that's right.
That's right. Well, look, I suppose the final reminder here is this whole discussion has not just come out of nowhere. You know, the books that have been referenced and discussed in this episode, quite aside from the mention of the ancient use of cell salts and minerals within the Bible and with Job, we've got Biochemic System of Medicine from George W. Carey. That's available, isn't it, Ewan?
Oh, totally. You just get any of these are available on the web. You just punch them in and away you go. You'll find them.
Yeah. When I pulled up the for this, the Wonders of the Human Body, that was digitized by Google and put online for free. At an American university,
right?
So you could look for that if you wanted to read that one. And then the Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation, again from George Carey, who's the author of the Biochemic System of Medicine over there on the left. But this one on the right takes in, and you can see where I've stolen some of my graphics from here for this presentation because I've incorporated it into that sort of wheel of life and then the salts there.
Yeah, and it's like the information's out there. There's not a lot of money to be made from this.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's not being driven. That's the guts of it. And if we just could get away with this issue from farming perspective is like, let's stop paying the piper, the Pied Piper. Oh, we come over here, you silly children. Follow me. Yeah. And we've been led down this track that every time, you need this. Or you need that, or we'll sell you this, or do that, or, spray this, or inoculate, or vaccinate, and blah, 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 instead of actually going, oh, okay, we'll see what your problem is. We need to fix the soil. And what we have done with agriculture is that we've extended over large pieces of land, but we didn't take the thinking patterns of where they came from, where the great civilizations started. They had volcanoes, rivers, and the ocean. That's where the big civilizations, the volcanoes might have been way upstream, but the effect of volcanic silicas, the water, the silts, the sea, everything, they lived there for a reason and they flourished for a reason. Now, if we took that methodology and thinking, that is what we try to do, is that if you bring that back onto your farms and go, well, I don't want the flood and I don't want the volcano and I do want these things, you can actually go and get all the bits and pieces and put them in a pile and add all the little bits and pieces you need to, and you put them on land and you create the great flood out of the back of a fertilizer spreader.
Yeah, that's right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Your own great flood creator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice, Ewan, and a good place to end it today because the real answer is always fix your soils.
Fix the soil, yeah. And I mean, it's a mysterious dive through time and effort. The thing is, we see lots of products that have been used from the ocean, fish fertilizers and, seawaters, seaweeds, and they're all awesome. We just got to need to know what else do we need to do as we take them down this track to create this whole abundance in our soils.
Yeah. Well, look, thanks for hanging in there. If you've been listening to this on Spotify or watching the video on YouTube or Spotify, it's great to have you. Please like and subscribe, share with a friend. And we're still working on an episode where we're going to do response to some comments.
Oh, yes,
If you've got good comments, put them down.
Put them in there, yeah.
Questions, I should say.
Love really awkward questions. If they're too awkward, I won't answer them. But otherwise, but generally, they're a lot of fun. They're great to actually answer, find out what people are thinking.
Yeah, and I think this episode is hitting around that sort of holiday season, so Happy New Year to everyone who's out there.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks.
Keen to dive deeper? Check out our audiobook and EcoFarmer's Discovery on Spotify, or grab our free ebook, The 6 Things You Need to Improve Soil and Farm Profit. Links in the description.